Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic issue 52, and before I continue, I'll go ahead and place my spoiler warnings here. Where we last left off, Sonic, Tails, and Belle were trying to escape Eggperial City with the unconscious kid in tow. Unfortunately, there were a lot of badniks in the way. Sonic tried to divert their attention, while Tails hijacked a shuttle. Eggman saw through the ruse and sent Metal Sonic to destroy the shuttle, injuring Sonic in the process and leaving everyone in a worse position than before. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Surge survived and is planning her next move. Not surprising since, as I've pointed out, future solicitations and covers already revealed this fact. However, we'll see how Surge will try and gain an advantage over everyone else in this issue. Let's get started. Metal Sonic charges up his V Maximum Overdrive attack in order to dive bomb our heroes. Thanks to Tails, they're able to get out of the way just as he touches down. The group goes through some narrow alleyways, betting on the fact Metal Sonic cannot reach top speed in there. Doesn't mean he's any less dangerous. Thanks to Tails, again, Sonic kicks a bunch of crates, with his good foot mind you, from above onto Metal Sonic to slow him down. When they reach an open area, Kit, now fully conscious, goes into a panic. He desperately wants to be with Surge again. Before they can tell him what happened, they hear Metal Sonic approaching. Out of options, Sonic asks Kit if he can use his water powers to, quote, make Metal seriously regret his life choices. In case you're wondering how Sonic knows about Kit's powers, Tails did mention the water pack in the previous issue, so don't worry, no plot holes here. After some hesitation, Kit agrees to help them. Thing is, Kit's pack is still empty and he needs to refill it. By pure happenstance, there's some large water containers nearby. Metal Sonic enters the area and Kit successfully holds back and buries the robot in rubble. Thanks to Eggman recalling the Badniks last issue, the group is able to make it to the city's outer wall without incident. Tails drops Kit outside, while Sonic and Belle take one last look at the place. The former is concerned about what Eggman can do to the world as long as the city exists. For the moment, the only thing to worry about is Metal Sonic busting out and charging towards them. He utilizes another overdrive attack, but stops when Belle steps between him and Sonic. She believes that Metal Sonic doesn't have to fight, that this can be resolved peacefully. Sadly, she's wrong. Add yet another tally to the Belle Must Suffer board. Before the injured Sonic and Metal Sonic throw down, an explosion occurs at the main tower. Sonic mockingly tells Metal to check in on Daddy Dearest, and Metal takes off. Tails flies up wondering what's happened, and Sonic says whatever's happening at the tower is Eggman's problem. So what is going on at the tower? Well, let's go back a bit and check in on Surge. She climbs her way out of the garbage incinerator room, only to get nearly run over by a garbage tank. Junk flings by her face, and it just so happens among them is Starline's discarded glove. Surge correctly figures Eggman was too much for the platypus because, under normal circumstances, he would never let his glove out of his sight. After pondering whether or not she's actually free of his influence, she declares she'll be better and stronger than Starline, symbolized by her tossing the glove into the incinerator. Surge climbs up the main tower's garbage chute and winds up in a storage area where Cubot is currently in. In typical Cubot fashion, he opens the hatch when he hears an odd noise, and Surge welcomes herself inside. She looks around for anything that'll help her get stronger, including briefly looking at Eggman's Sonic Adventure 2 gun, before eyeing something on a desk. She forces Cubot to explain what the device is. It's revealed to be the Dynamo Cage. It's used to harness energy from Wisp, whether they want to give the user their power or not. Surge ignores Cubot's warning about Eggman not working out all the kinks and slips it on. Presumably, her powering on the device caused the explosion heard earlier. And when Eggman arrives on the scene, he's greeted by a powered up Surge, ready to have some fun. There seems to be a number of coinkydinks going on in this story. This isn't a knock against coincidences in general. They do happen in both real life and in fiction. With the case of the latter, coincidences are necessary to advance the plot. Plus, this is a comic series based on a video game franchise. Just thought I'd get this off my chest. Another thing to note is the coloring. Reggie Graham, whom I've talked about briefly in my 2019 annual review, has done most of the issues since Evan took over as main writer. But for some reason, this is the first time I really paid attention to his aesthetic. What I think he's going for is a rough texture that is kinda reminiscent of newsprint paper all comics used back in the day, before a number of them switched to glossy paper. Before you comment on the scans I'm using, I should point out that they are present in both the digital copy I bought on iBooks and the physical copies I own. Yes, I bought multiple copies of an issue. Support the book if you can, kids. Anyway, my point is, at times, the coloring can be a bit jarring between issues, especially when you compare Reggie's coloring in this issue to the crisp, clean digital aesthetic of the last one. Okay, moving on to issue 52 itself. As expected, the issue wraps up the current story arc surrounding issue 50 while paving the way for future developments. With Surge and Kit now separated from each other, we're witnessing them taking different paths. Being with the heroes, Kit is starting to act a little more independently. His need to be with Surge conditioning is still there. That's not going away overnight. But when presented with a choice to either say, bail and go look for her, or use his water powers to help the heroes, he chose option number 2. It helps that he's surrounded by people that care for his well-being, and when presented with that choice, he was asked rather than bullied into it. As a result, Kit became the MVP for the group, and it must be embarrassing for Metal Sonic to be once again caught by water tentacles. This is a good first step for Kit. Perhaps there is a chance for him to get better in some fashion, but there's also a chance he could relapse if he discovers Surge's whereabouts. Which brings us to our Electric Tenrec. Surge is continuing her burn the world plan and says she'll be better than Starline ever was. So what better way to do so is by stealing Eggman's stuff, just like Starline used to do. Surge is also unsure she's free from Starline's influence. Future solicitations and covers imply, no, she's not. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. For now, let's focus on Surge's new toy, the Dynamo Cage. Cubot says it can absorb energy from Wisp and presumably other sources. It would make sense that Eggman would continue to find ways to use the Wisp Hypergohan energy for himself, although this time similar to the way Sonic does, except by force and not relying on a mech. While he no longer has access to Planet Wisp, according to issue 3 of the main book, a number of the little guys decide to stick around after the events of Sonic Colors and act as powers for the Wispins. Might as well try and take an advantage of their presence on the planet. Funny that the Dynamo Cage just happens to look like a visual upgrade to Surge's electromagnetic propulsion accessories. I think Evan did that on purpose. I believe she's doing a nod to the accessory upgrades characters would get throughout the Sonic Adventure games in order to utilize new abilities. Now I'm picturing Tikal in ball form saying, "This is the Dynamo Cage. It will allow you to absorb the power of the Wisp, whether they like it or not." Surge, for the moment, has an advantage, but based on the fact that it's a prototype and Cubot mentioning there are still some kinks to work out, it might not go so well in the long run. If and when it does break, she does not have the technical knowledge to fix it, and I don't think the likes of Tails or Eggman will help her. However, she could still do a lot of damage in the short time she has the cage. Even though Surge and Kid got a lot of focus this issue, the other characters had their moments. There's Tails stepping up here and there to help the group escape, and despite being injured, Sonic is able to stall Metal Sonic for a bit, and is willing to go toe-to-toe with him before Surge's explosion at the tower had to end things. Actually, Metal Sonic could have achieved victory before the explosion happened if it wasn't for Belle. Admittedly, it was naive for her to try and change Metal's mind. His goal in life, i.e. his programming, is to beat Sonic in order to prove himself that he is superior, and except for Eggman, now at least, no one, not even his sister, will stand in his way. Okay, maybe she did for a few moments, but those moments were crucial, Otherwise, Sonic would have gotten a face full of V Maximum Overdrive. Finally, I would like to address Sonic's comment about Eggperial City, that as long as this place exists, it can be a threat to the world. This is true. Who knows what havoc or devices Eggman could unleash from there. I have a feeling that's going to be the next overall arc. But first, our heroes will have to contend with Surge. Next time, she'll be using her new item to hunt down an ally of Sonic that just happens to have some wisps on hand. Be careful, Whisper. I'll see you in issue 53. If Jakks Pacific were to one day make figures based off the IDW Sonic series, I have no doubts this will be part of the lineup. And honestly, I would buy Dynamo Cage Surge in a heartbeat. Please make it happen.